are! Today we are going to be making a special twist on the Old Fashioned. That's right, we're going south of the border with some tequila and mezcal even, that's right. So mezcal is to tequila like a smoky peaty scotch is to a more Highland scotch. And so what we're going to be doing today is making an Old Fashioned, but with peatiness, smokiness, and tequila. So it's going to have more of the sweetness from the tequila, from the agave plants, more of the smokiness from the mezcal. It's all going to come together with some chocolate bitters and a little bit of habanero pepper in there, and I think it's going to round out to be real tasty. So let's go ahead and get started. Now, because I want to have some sweetness in there to complement in with the smokiness of the mezcal, I am using a combination of both mezcal as well as a Repasado tequila. So a little bit combined in there, some of the more sweetness, some of the more nuanced flavors. It should kind of balance everything out, and balance is what it is all about. So we are going to put in 2 ounces of a mezcal, which is going to give us our nice, heavy, smoky flavors. Now, mezcal is just a regular tequila, but during this process, more of the smokiness is imbued into the agave plants. Therefore, when the juice is extracted from that, it allows a little more of the character to build up, and it has a little bit more body, a little bit more depth, a little bit more nuances above the more standard sweet and agave flavors you get out of a standard tequila. So we are going to add into that 2 ounces of a mezcal, about an ounce of just a regular tequila. Now I'm using a Repasado here. You could absolutely use a Blanco or an Anejo. Whatever happens to fit your flavors is absolutely perfect. In this case, I think a Repasado will give it a little bit more of that caramely notes that you have in the more barrel-aged tequilas, while also providing the sweetness that you would have from the silver, whereas an Anejo would be more that caramel forward. So I think that's going to give it a good start. I'm going to do just a little bit of Cointreau to give a little bit of those orange notes. I'm just going to, not even going to measure this, it's just going to be a splash. I really want to make sure that the tequila is the primary flavor profile we're getting, and I think that's going to be a great place to go from there. Now remember, because this is the Old Fashioned, this orange, the Cointreau, is almost taking the place of the muddled oranges or the orange extract that I use in my cheat version. So we are kind of bringing in elements of the margarita, but applying them to an appropriate place where it's going to be used in the Old Fashioned. Obviously, we're not going to be using lime juice because that is not a thing in an Old Fashioned. An Old Fashioned is very much a alcohol-forward drink with just the flavors added in to complement it. Now, in flavor of the simple syrup for the Old Fashioned, we're going to be using our agave syrup. And again, just as much as you want for your taste. I'm not going to be adding that much because I also do have the Cointreau in here, which is adding a little bit of sweetness as well. Now in terms of the bitters that I'm adding for here, and by the way, whatever bitters you have are perfect to use. Don't take whatever I use as gospel. This is just what I happen to think works based on what I have and what I'm making. Whatever you have and whatever works with your drinks, by all means use. I've gotten a bunch of gift sets over the years of different ones that have a whole bunch of different types of bitters in one set. Great if you want to try to experiment with a bunch of things, but if you don't have them, use what you got. Anything works absolutely perfectly. In this case, I think a chocolate bitters is going to go really well with the mezcal. You got the smokiness and the creaminess kind of working well together. So I'm going to put in a couple shakes of those chocolate bitters. And then I'm also going to put in these mango, habanero, and magnolia bitters. I don't actually know what magnolia would be, but I think the pecan is kind of the nuttiness that complements the barrel age or the Repasado tequila, and then the habanero with pepper is going to complement the smokiness and spiciness that you get in the mezcal, and I think it's all going to work nicely together. It's all about kind of putting flavors together that you think will complement one another and not cause any one flavor to overpower any other ones. So put about a dropper and a half in there, and I think we're ready for a shake. So let's go ahead and give it a shake and see where we get. Take your time. All right, that's a good amount of shaking, I'd say. Let's go ahead and give ourselves a pour. Now, in case you're wondering, yes, I have been doing tequila-based drinks for the last couple. I just happen to be in the mood for them. There's no particular reason. I like tequila, and so, I decided to do some of this in there. So we'll go ahead and pour it out in an appropriate glass and see where we get. And again, I did not do any salt in the rim, A, because it's not a margarita, and B, because I hate salt in the rim. This is an Old Fashioned, so it should be served like an Old Fashioned, but because it's more of a smoky base from the mezcal, I do want a little bit of the nose. The more of the drink that comes from the nose, the more you want to be able to kind of have that encased, and so when you bring up the drink, you do have that empty area at the top that's going to provide that for you. So I am using something that's more of a tulip type glass that does have that inness at the top, as opposed to just a lowball glass where they would all kind of escape outwards. That is because I'm using a mezcal and I want to have those smoky notes up forward. It's not an arbitrary choice, it was actually done for a reason, shockingly. So, where we at? Ooh. Oh, that's nice, yeah. It's very, very mezcal forward, which I'm a big fan of. If you don't like smokiness, maybe do a little bit more tequila, less mezcal. For me, this is perfect. I actually might even go more towards the mezcal, just because I like that really peaty, smoke forward flavor. But yeah, if you ever want to do something that's a little mix up on the Old Fashioned, a little bit mix up on the margarita, not as sweet, not as sour, it gives you more of the Old Fashioned vibes, while still being some tequila based. It's delightful, and of course, have proper garnish. We have a dried, sugared, and some kind of hot peppered blood orange that I dried like 2 years ago, and they've been in my freezer ever since. I'm finding some weird stuff in the back of my freezer. I found yeast that expired in 2012. Still worked. Anyway, I hope you're all enjoying all the beverages that you're making, that you're experimenting and coming up with good stuff, staying at home, staying safe, and until we meet again, happy experimenting with your drinks. Cheers.